What if I told you that some of the people you hold closest are silently poisoning your soul, not out of malice, not with bad intentions, but through patterns of behavior so subtle, you don't even realize the damage they cause? Have you ever felt emotionally drained after spending time with someone? Or found yourself questioning your self-worth because of words that seem harmless on the surface, but cut deep like invisible blades? In Buddhism, we understand that every person in your life is a reflection of your inner world. Some come to lift you up. Others come to mirror your shadows, forcing you to confront the parts of yourself you'd rather avoid. But here's the truth. The most dangerous people in your life aren't the obvious enemies. They're the ones you trust. The ones whose presence slowly eats away at your inner peace, pulling you further from your spiritual path. In this video, we'll explore the 5 types of people who unknowingly poison your energy and block your growth. And more importantly, we'll reveal how to break free, not through hatred or avoidance, but through wisdom and compassion. Because once you recognize these hidden influences, you'll never allow anyone to dim your light again. Type 1. The constant victim. Draining your energy with endless suffering. Have you ever had someone in your life who seems perpetually stuck in misery? No matter what you say, no matter how much support you offer, their suffering never lessens. Instead, it spreads, like a shadow that slowly creeps into your own peace of mind. These are the people who live in a mindset of victimhood. Every conversation with them revolves around what went wrong, who wronged them, and why life is always unfair. They recount their misfortunes as if they are reading a script they've memorized. And each time they tell their story, they reinforce their identity as someone who is powerless and broken. At first, your heart aches for them. You pour your energy into trying to lift them up, to show them light beyond their darkness. But over time, something strange happens. You start to feel drained, depleted, and maybe even resentful. It's like you've become an emotional landfill for their suffering. And the more you try to fix them, the heavier their burden seems to grow. The Buddhist perspective. Why people cling to suffering. Buddhism teaches us that suffering is a fundamental part of existence. But the way we relate to suffering determines whether we're liberated or imprisoned by it. The Buddha identified attachment as the root cause of suffering. And for some people, their deepest attachment is to their own pain. Why? Because suffering can become a false sense of identity. When life feels chaotic and uncertain, pain can be familiar. It can feel like the only thing someone can control is their own sadness. In many ways, suffering becomes a story they tell themselves to make sense of the world. I am this way because life is unfair. People always leave me, so I must be unlovable. Nothing good ever happens to me, so why bother trying? This mindset is like an invisible cage. And the more someone repeats these narratives, the stronger the bars become. But here's the hard truth. You cannot free someone who refuses to put down their chains. Why the constant victim is a mirror of your own karma? If you find yourself repeatedly drawn to people who live in perpetual victimhood, this may not be a coincidence. In Buddhism, relationships are often seen as mirrors of our own unresolved karma. Ask yourself, do you feel an unconscious need to save others? Does helping people distract you from facing your own pain? Are you seeking validation through being a fixer or rescuer? Sometimes the people who drain us the most are the ones who reveal our hidden wounds. They may show us where we lack boundaries or where we place our self-worth in external validation. Their presence, as painful as it may be, can become a spiritual test. Will you continue sacrificing your inner peace? Or will you choose to protect your energy and trust that others must walk their own path? Breaking free. How to protect your energy with compassion. The antidote to this karmic pattern isn't coldness or indifference. It's loving kindness with boundaries. Here's how you can protect your soul while still honoring your compassion. Recognize what's yours and what isn't. You are not responsible for carrying someone else's suffering. You can offer love, but you can't force someone to heal. Set energetic boundaries. Limit how much time and energy you give to people stuck in victimhood. You can listen with empathy, but don't allow their negativity to take root in your heart. Encourage self-responsibility. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is gently guide someone back to their own power. Remind them they are not helpless, that they have the strength to change. Practice detachment. In Buddhism, detachment doesn't mean not caring. It means loving people without clinging to the outcome. Let go of the need to fix others and trust their journey, even if it's painful to watch. And if stepping back from someone feels like betrayal, remember this: your inner peace is sacred. Protecting it is not selfish. It's necessary for your spiritual evolution. The truth is, some people may never choose to release their suffering in this lifetime. But by choosing to release the burden of carrying their pain, you create space for your own growth, freedom, and enlightenment. Because the deeper lesson here is this: we cannot walk the path of liberation for anyone else, only ourselves. Type 2. The emotional manipulator, twisting your heart to control you. Have you ever felt like you were constantly walking on eggshells around someone? Like one wrong word or action would trigger a tidal wave of guilt, anger, or emotional chaos. These are the people who use your empathy as a weapon. The emotional manipulator doesn't attack you with fists or words. They use your love and kindness against you, bending your emotions to serve their own needs. They cry when you try to set boundaries. They lash out when you don't meet their expectations. And somehow you always end up feeling like the villain, even when you did nothing wrong. At first, it may seem like they're just hurt or misunderstood. You tell yourself they just need more patience, more compassion, more of your energy. But over time you start to feel like you're drowning in their storm, losing pieces of yourself in the process. Why does it feel impossible to break free from them? Because emotional manipulators feed off your desire to be a good person, and they convince you that walking away would make you a bad one. The Buddhist perspective. The poison of attachment and fear. From a Buddhist lens, emotional manipulation is deeply tied to the poisons of attachment and aversion. Manipulators often cling to others as a source of emotional validation or control, fearing abandonment or loss of power. But for the person being manipulated, the trap is even more subtle. The fear of causing suffering. We fear hurting people. We fear being seen as cruel or unkind. We fear that by leaving, we're failing in our duty to love and care for others. But this is where the Buddhist teachings on compassion become crucial. True compassion is not enabling someone's harmful behavior. It's recognizing their suffering while refusing to let it consume you. In many cases, manipulators act out of their own unresolved pain. But their pain is not your burden to carry. In fact, by continually feeding their cycle of control, you may actually prevent them from facing the root of their suffering and beginning their own healing. In this way, staying in an emotionally manipulative relationship isn't just self-destructive. It can be a form of karmic entanglement that prolongs suffering for both souls. Why the emotional manipulator reflects your own wounds. It's painful to realize. But the presence of an emotional manipulator in your life may be a mirror of your inner world. Ask yourself, do you tie your self-worth to how much you do for others? Are you afraid that setting boundaries will make you unlovable? Do you equate suffering for someone with truly loving them? Sometimes we attract manipulators because part of us believes we deserve that treatment, or because we confuse sacrifice with love, or because we fear that without someone to save, we'll lose our purpose. The manipulator's grip on your life might be showing you the places where you lack self-love, self-trust, and the courage to protect your own heart. And in that sense, as painful as their presence may be, they become one of your greatest spiritual teachers. Breaking free. How to reclaim your power with wisdom and compassion? Liberating yourself from an emotional manipulator doesn't require hatred or vengeance. It requires fierce compassion, both for yourself and for them. Here's how you can break the cycle. Recognize the manipulation. See the patterns clearly. The guilt trips. The blame shifting. The way they twist your emotions to keep you entangled. Awareness is the first step to freedom. Reclaim your self-worth. You are not obligated to destroy yourself to prove your love for someone. Your worth is not measured by how much suffering you endure for others. Set boundaries. And stick to them. Boundaries are not barriers to love. They are the framework that allows love to be healthy and sustainable. Be firm. If they rage, guilt trip, or cry, let them. Their reaction is not your responsibility. Detach with love. You can release someone from your life without hatred. You can wish them healing and peace while choosing to protect your own. Detachment doesn't mean not caring. It means caring without losing yourself. Trust the karmic flow. If this person is meant to grow, they will. If they are meant to face their own suffering, they will. But you staying in their cycle of control will only delay the two unfold for both of you to evolve. The ultimate lesson. Love doesn't demand self-destruction. In the end, emotional manipulators teach us one of the most profound spiritual lessons. True love is not a prison. It is not control. It is not sacrifice at the cost of your soul. True love, in the Buddhist sense, is metta. Loving kindness that flows freely, without attachment or expectation. And sometimes, the kindest, most loving thing you can do for yourself, and for someone lost in manipulation, is to walk away. Because by choosing your own freedom, you become a beacon of light. And maybe, just maybe, that light will guide them to seek their own liberation too. Type 3. The constant critic. The voice that echoes your deepest insecurities. Have you ever had someone in your life who always seemed to find fault in you? No matter how much you achieve, how much you grow, or how much effort you pour into your life, they always manage to point out what's missing, what's broken, what's not enough. Maybe it's a parent who never praises you, only highlighting your mistakes. Maybe it's a friend who masks insults as just being honest. Or maybe it's a partner who makes you feel small, under the guise of helping you improve. Their words linger long after they leave the room, and over time, their voice starts to blend with your own, until you can't tell where their criticism ends, and your self-doubt begins. But why are these people in your life? And why do their words cut so deeply? The karmic mirror. Dani. Why the critic reflects your own inner pain. According to Buddhist teachings, people who wound us the most are often mirrors of our own unresolved suffering. The constant critic doesn't just create insecurity. They expose the insecurity that already exists within you. If their words didn't touch a wound you already carried, they wouldn't hurt you. Their presence may be a karmic echo of past lifetimes or childhood experiences where you internalized the belief that you weren't enough. And now life is presenting you with this person. Not to punish you, but to force you to confront and heal the false narratives you've been living under. In that sense, the critic becomes a painful teacher, because every harsh word they speak is an opportunity for you to ask, why does this trigger me? Where in my past did I first start believing this about myself? Is this criticism actually true? Or am I unconsciously accepting their words as fact? By bringing your hidden insecurities to the surface, the critic unknowingly offers you a chance to release them. The Buddhist path, using criticism as a tool for awakening in Buddhism, the mind is often compared to a garden. Every thought is a seed. And when someone criticizes you, they're essentially handing you a seed of suffering. But here's the truth. You don't have to plant that seed. The Buddha taught the practice of mindful awareness, observing thoughts and emotions without attachment. When someone criticizes you, you can pause, breathe, and ask, is this criticism valid? If yes, humbly learn from it. Use it as a tool for growth. Is this criticism false? or unfair? If yes, let it pass through you like wind through an empty room. Don't give it a home in your heart. This doesn't mean criticism won't sting, but when you cultivate mindfulness, you develop the ability to choose your response, instead of automatically collapsing under the weight of someone else's words. Breaking free. How to protect your energy without closing your heart. Here's how to break free from the influence of constant critics. Strengthen your self-worth through loving kindness. Practice meditation, silently repeating phrases like, "May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. May I love myself unconditionally." The more you fill yourself with compassion, the less space there is for external criticism to take root. Create healthy distance. You don't need to cut every critic out of your life, but you can choose how much access they have to your energy. Set boundaries. Limit interactions. Guard your peace like a sacred temple. See the critic's pain. People who constantly criticize others are often projecting their own internal suffering. Their words are not a reflection of your worth, but of their own self-loathing. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but recognizing their pain can help you detach with compassion rather than bitterness. Speak to your inner child. If the critic's words trigger deep emotional wounds, take time to sit with your inner child. Reassure them. Tell them they are loved, whole, and enough, exactly as they are. The ultimate lesson: you are already enough. The constant critic may enter your life to teach you one of the most radical spiritual truths. You do not need to earn your worthiness. You are not valuable because of what you achieve or how perfectly you live. You are valuable simply because you exist, because you are a living expression of the universe itself. Once you understand this, the critic's words lose their power. Once you embody this, their voice fades into silence. Because when you finally know, at the deepest level, that you are already enough, there's nothing left for them to take from you. Type 4. The emotional vampire. The one who drains your energy and steals your peace. Have you ever been around someone who, after just a short conversation, leaves you feeling utterly exhausted? It's like they siphon your energy, draining your life force with endless complaints, constant drama, or an insatiable need for attention. No matter how much you try to help, comfort, or guide them, it never seems to be enough. They might be a friend who treats you like their personal therapist, a family member who only calls when they need something, or a colleague who always seems to be caught in a new crisis and pulls you into their chaos like a black hole. At first, you might feel compassion. You want to be there for them, but over time their presence starts to feel suffocating. And you wonder, am I being kind? Or am I being used? Why do these people show up in our lives? And what spiritual lesson are they here to teach? The karmic debt. Why emotional vampires gravitate toward you? In Buddhism, everything is energy, and the people who drain you are often unconsciously drawn to your light. If you're naturally empathetic, compassionate, or spiritually sensitive, emotional vampires sense that, like moths to a flame. They feed on your kindness, your willingness to listen. And if you have a pattern of people-pleasing or overgiving, they latch on even tighter. But here's the hard truth. They can only take what you continue to give. This dynamic may be a karmic echo of past lifetimes, where you sacrificed your well-being for others, or where you clung to relationships out of guilt or fear of abandonment. Now, the universe may be placing these people in your path to ask, will you continue to deplete yourself for others? Or will you finally learn to protect your energy as an act of self-love? The emotional vampire isn't just here to drain you. They're here to show you where you're leaking your own power. The Buddhist path, how to maintain compassion without self-sacrifice. The Buddha taught the importance of right boundaries. The understanding that true compassion doesn't mean destroying yourself to save others. Imagine you're holding a candle. If someone's world is dark, you might be tempted to give them your flame. But if you extinguish your own light in the process, you both end up in darkness. True compassion is learning to illuminate without burning out. Here's how to protect your energy without closing your heart. Practice loving detachment. You can love people without absorbing their suffering. Visualize a golden light surrounding you during interactions, a protective barrier that allows love to flow out but prevents negativity from seeping in. Set energetic boundaries. When someone constantly dumps their pain onto you, it's not unkind to limit your availability. You can say, "I care about you, but I can't hold space for this right now." Boundaries are not walls. They are the gatekeepers of your inner peace. Cultivate inner stillness. Emotional vampires thrive on reaction. The more you get emotionally entangled, the more energy they siphon. But if you remain grounded in presence, like a mountain untouched by the storm, their chaos loses its grip on you. Breaking free. When to let go with love. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is walk away. Not everyone is ready to heal. And if someone continuously drains your spirit despite your kindness and boundaries, staying in that dynamic may only enable their suffering and prolong your own. In these moments, remind yourself, you are not responsible for saving everyone. You are allowed to choose peace over exhaustion. And you can release someone with love, praying that life brings them the healing you cannot provide. The ultimate lesson. Protecting your energy is a sacred duty. The emotional vampire teaches you a crucial spiritual truth. Your energy is sacred. Your inner peace is sacred. And preserving your light is not selfish. It's necessary for your awakening. Because when you finally stop pouring your life force into people who refuse to fill their own cup, you reclaim your power to pour that energy into your own growth, healing, and spiritual evolution. Type 5. She. The master manipulator. The one who subtly controls your reality. Not all poisons taste bitter at first. Some come disguised as sweetness. Have you ever met someone who seemed supportive, but over time you realize they were quietly twisting your mind? They might flatter you, make you feel special, or promise they only want what's best for you. Yet somehow your confidence fades. Your decisions feel cloudy. And without noticing, you start living according to their expectations, not your own truth. This is the energy of the master manipulator. They don't just influence your actions. They distort your perception of yourself. It could be a partner who makes you feel guilty for wanting independence, a friend who subtly undermines your achievements to keep you small, or a spiritual teacher who uses fear to control your awakening. At first, you may not even realize you're being manipulated, because master manipulators don't always use force. They use emotional hooks, shame, obligation, and the illusion of love to keep you tethered. And by the time you notice the poison, it's already spread through your spirit. Why do these people come into our lives? And what karmic lesson do they carry? The karmic mirror. Why manipulators appear on your path. In Buddhism, we understand that external events are often reflections of internal dynamics. The people who manipulate you may not just be bad people. They might be manifestations of your own unresolved fears and insecurities. If you doubt your worth, you may attract someone who exploits that doubt. If you fear abandonment, you may tolerate manipulation just to feel loved. These people enter your life not just to harm you, but to expose the shadow aspects of your psyche that still crave validation, safety, or control. In a way, the manipulator is a teacher in disguise. They show you where you've given your power away, and they force you to confront the painful truth. No one can control you unless you abandon yourself. The Buddhist path, how to break free from manipulation without hatred. The Buddha taught that liberation comes from inner mastery, not from fighting external enemies. If you've been manipulated, the path to freedom isn't about seeking revenge or even demanding justice. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself that were vulnerable to control in the first place. Here's how you can spiritually liberate yourself. Cultivate radical self-awareness. The manipulator thrives on your unconsciousness, but the moment you bring light to your patterns, the guilt, the people-pleasing, the need to be liked, their power over you begins to dissolve. Strengthen your inner authority. The more you trust your intuition and anchor into your own truth, the less sway others have over your reality. Meditate, journal, listen to your heart's voice. Because when you truly know yourself, no one can distort that knowing. Forgive, but from a distance. Forgiveness isn't about excusing harmful behavior. It's about releasing the karmic tie that binds you to your manipulator. You can forgive their ignorance, recognize their suffering, and still choose to walk away. Breaking free, when leaving, is an act of enlightenment. Sometimes the most powerful spiritual decision you can make is to leave a relationship that compromises your soul. But leaving isn't just a physical act. It's an energetic severing, a conscious choice to stop feeding the dynamic with your attention, anger, or hope for change. And once you finally cut the cord, something profound happens. Your mind clears, your energy returns, and you remember the sovereignty of your spirit, the ultimate lesson. True freedom comes from self-realization. The manipulator is a harsh but necessary teacher. They show you the parts of yourself still seeking approval. They force you to confront your deepest fears of rejection. And through that suffering, they gift you an invitation to become so whole within yourself that no one can shatter you again. Because when you finally understand that the only control anyone has over you is the control you allow them to have, you step into a level of freedom that no one can take away. This completes the 5 types of people who unknowingly poison your life. But remember, these people are not punishments. They are catalysts for your evolution. Because every painful encounter, every broken relationship is another step on the path to your awakening. What if every painful relationship in your life was a doorway to freedom? The people who trigger your deepest wounds, the ones who shatter your peace, they might be the most profound spiritual teachers you'll ever meet. Not because they're enlightened, but because they reveal exactly where your soul still needs healing. Each toxic person you've encountered has carried a karmic message. The critic teaches you self-compassion. The energy vampire teaches you boundaries. The manipulator teaches you inner sovereignty. In Buddhism, suffering is not seen as punishment. It's the friction that awakens you, the discomfort that pushes you toward liberation. Because the goal isn't to live a life without difficult people. It's to become so deeply rooted in your own awareness, wisdom, and love that no matter who enters your life, you remain at peace. The poison only hurts when you drink it. But the moment you stop reacting with anger, fear, or attachment, the toxin loses its power. You are not here to fix or change these people. You are here to transcend the version of yourself that needed them to learn these lessons in the first place. And once you do, they will either transform with you or disappear from your life entirely. A final reflection. You are stronger than you think. If you've suffered at the hands of difficult people, know this. You are not broken. You are not cursed. And you are not powerless. Every scar on your heart is a testament to your resilience. Every tear you've shed is a symbol of your capacity to love. And with each toxic cycle you break, you step closer to the most powerful version of yourself, the one who is no longer bound by karma, but liberated by wisdom. Because in the end, no one can poison your life, unless you forget the truth of who you are.